the role of the environment, two sciences really, ethology, the role of natural selection, and experimental analysis of behavior is the role of the environment of the individual through operant conditioning. Once you have that science, then there's less need to look inside for a cause, and eventually you can simply say there's no need at all, because what is inside is the product of the history. So that what happens is, as I grew up as a baby and a child and an adult, was that my body was slowly changed by contingency to reinforcement. It remained a body produced by natural selection. And that as soon as we understand the environmental sources of what I do all the way along, we don't need to bother about how it feels when I'm doing it. But what philosophers have done for 2,500 years at least is to try to look more and more closely at what they feel or what they see introspectively. And of course they never have got anywhere. And Plato is still taught today in departments of philosophy, you see, 2,500 years later. And moreover, the cognitive psychology has given up on introspection. The psychology in general has. Do you find a psychologist sitting around observing mental life anymore? No. The cognitive processes are inferences, which you establish by hypotheses and inferences and so on. And I don't know of a single psychologist who sits around and watches a stream of consciousness, or is a trained observer in the Wundtian tradition, though the behavioristic attack on introspection has been totally successful. Introspection is now out as a process of science. It's still there with philosophy, and they can have it, and they will. But the good philosophers, I would say someone like Bertrand Russell, I think, realizes that you can't get much out of introspection, although it's interesting to look at yourself when you're thinking, but you've got eventually to get back to physical explanation.
You say look at yourself when you're thinking. I mean, you, I think, of all people in psychology, have been a paragon of what can be accomplished, what one can accomplish with themselves when they look at themselves. I mean, you are always, it seems to me, analyzing your own